we need to find the LCD for these two rational expressions. So we're only going to be looking at the denominators. And what we need to do is factor both denominators completely. So the first denominator, 2x plus 2, what I notice in it is that both terms have a 2 in it, a factor of 2. So I can factor that out. So if I divide a 2 out of the 2x, I just have an x left, and I divide 2 by 2 for the other one, and I have 1. So that one's completely factored. Next, I'm going to completely factor the second denominator, which is 3x squared plus 6x plus 3. The first thing I notice here is that all three terms have a factor of 3. They're all divisible by 3. So I'm going to factor that out. So if I factor out a 3 out of the first term, or divide that out of that, I'm going to have x squared left. And if I divide the second term by 3, I'm going to have 2x left. And if I divide the third term by 3, I'm just going to have 1 left. Now this is not completely factored just yet. I can factor the x squared plus 2x plus 1. So I'm going to factor that. And then I'm going to see what I need for my lowest common denominator. Now for a lowest common denominator, another name for that is the least common multiple. So whatever we get has to be a multiple of the other two. So we have x squared, so we need to have x times x to get x squared. The only way to, well, the next step is to take a look at our signs. They're all positive. We've got a positive here and a positive there. So that means that both the signs in here are going to have to be positive. That's the only way this will work. And the only way to factor 1, your last term here, is 1 and 1. So I'll put my 1 and 1 in here. And I'm just going to do a quick check to make sure that if I multiply this back out, I would get the x squared plus 2x plus 1 that I started with. So I've got x times x, which does give me x squared. X times 1 gives me 1x. And then when I start in here, I get another 1x. And when I add those together, I do get the plus 2x in the middle. And then 1 times 1 does give me 1 on the end. So I'm sure it works out correctly. So I do have it factored correctly. Now to get the least common denominator for these two denominators, the way that I like to do it is I write down one of the denominators. I'll just start with the first one. Write down everything it has, because we're looking for a multiple of it, so it at least has to have this in it. And then I'll look at the second one here and decide what do I need from it. I don't have a 3 already. I do have an x plus 1, but I don't have the second x plus 1. So I'm going to add those in, a 3 and another x plus 1. I'm missing those. And then I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. I can do my 2 times 3 and put it out front. And then I've got an x plus 1 and a second x plus 1. Now you can write it this way, or you can write it as 6 times x plus 1 quantity squared, because there are 2 of that term. Either way you want to write it. And that's how you'll find the least common denominator, or a least common multiple for any two expressions like that. I hope this helps.